We're here today with Brianne's fans. How you doing, Brianne?
Good, how are you?
I am doing great. It's Friday morning.
Finally.
Tell me about it. So why don't we get started by just kind of sharing a little bit about yourself and about your company?
Okay. Well, let's see. Kind of a little bit of an interesting background, but trying to keep it short for y'all. I have been practicing and teaching yoga for about 12 years. And with my yoga practice and my teachings, it has brought me to teaching in Vermont, teaching around the country, and teaching abroad and living abroad in the jungles of Central America. So it's, I always call my yoga mat kind of like my magic carpet, right? Brings me around the world. So yeah, really interesting.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, what makes you so special that you're being asked to go teach all around the world?
I think just my really raw and just vulnerable sense of personality. I'm just a very tell it like it is kind of person and can be very excitable sometimes, as you saw at the beginning of the interview. I think that's a very attractive quality for people. And just really my just strong passion for yoga and nature and combining those two, and just my willingness to never stop to reach a goal and to get people to their goal and to certain places. I just have that drive that just does not end. If I'm ever told no, I find a million ways to say yes. So it's kind of nonstop.
Right. Now, is there anything that sets you apart? I mean, in terms of the way you practice yoga, what's different about your practice?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, one thing that I've always heard feedback from my students is that it is never the same. I have been teaching for 12 years, and I've got some students in this area that have been following me for 5 years, and in 5 years they've never taken the same class with me. It's always different, and it's always based on the energy of the people that are, in that class that night. I never go in and say, okay, I'm going to do this sequence, I'm going to do this pose. It's just who walks in, how they're feeling that night, and I base it off that energy, and then in combination with the music, it's just it's always a new experience every time you take my class, and it's just very reaching outside of the box and not doing, very robotic things. It's very different. Okay. Very jungle inspired and nature inspired.
Okay, excellent. So I guess what led you to start your yoga practice? Like, how did you make that decision?
Starting my practice?
Yeah.
What got me into yoga? I actually have a background in personal training and group fitness. And when I was personal training full-time, the owner of the studio, he knew his friend was opening up a yoga studio. And she was doing free classes for her first week that she was open. So I was like, all right, I'll check this out. Even though I was such a huge cardio junkie and weightlifting, heavy weights, I'm like, yoga, whatever. But I was like, it's free, I'm gonna go. So I went, and I will never forget it. It was a Wednesday, December 21st. I remember what she wore, and just from that one class, I knew, I said, this is what I want to do. It just, that one class, it got me.
Nice. So where did it go from there?
Oh, all over the world. It went from, at that time I was in college, so I kind of had the time to take as many classes as I want, and sometimes I would practice 3 times a day. And just, from meeting fellow students and teachers and kind of learning from their background and saying okay, what can I do? Where can I go? What is this thing of yoga? It just kind of just opened up all those doors.
Nice. So, if you had to, and you've been doing this for quite some time now, if you had to pinpoint that 1 or 2 times of experiences that you've had where, people just left and felt rejuvenated, felt great. I mean, can you describe one of those experiences that really is, I guess, the mark of why you do what you do? I mean, do you have any of those testimonials, those
Yeah, I actually
Um,
do I mean, I got a couple, but let's see, I was trying to think. One from my yoga retreat that I led last year in Panama, where I used to live. One of the girls that was on the trip had anxiety about bridges, which I didn't know this. And we were going on a waterfall hike, like in the jungle. Like we were going up, climbing up. It was intense. And I've done this before, and I'm a pretty healthy and very active person. Even for me, several times I got to stop just because of the elevation and whatnot. So we're getting ready to cross this bridge, and I mean, it was a nice, safe bridge. It wasn't like rickety and like wood missing or whatever. So we're crossing over this bridge that was over this river. That was a pretty wide river, and everybody's going through. We're having a good time. Like, yeah, we're gonna go see this waterfall. It's great. And then because like we're walking single file, and I see her behind me stop, and I was like, well, what's going on? So she just kind of like collapses to her knees, and she's like, I have anxiety, and I was like, like, and I didn't know this. We were about 15 minutes or so away from our hotel. And so I crouched down with her, and like I was holding her hand, and I placed my other hand on her back, and using the techniques of yoga, I was like, just breathe. So like I just stayed down with her, and I was like, breathe, breathe. And we just slowly got up, slowly just started walking across the bridge, and just being in that whole yoga zone and breathing and just calming her down. And when we got off the bridge, like it was so cool. The support from all the other people on the trip was just amazing. Like kind of cheering her on and seeing her like using again that yoga practice to accomplish like a massive, massive fear that she had was just like one of those life-changing moments for her. Awesome for myself to witness and for everybody else. That was just, it was amazing. And then I just had another one. A couple months ago, I led it's called, it was Flow into Empowerment, or like Envision Yoga, where it's using your goals and your yoga practice and combining those two to make a vision board. So we did a group vision board, and just kind of telling everybody like, okay, this is how you set a goal, this is how you attain it, like kind of breaking down the little pieces. And again, just kind of sitting back, being the fly on the wall, and I'm just watching all the students like helping each other. And there's this one student who just loves art. She was an art teacher. It's her passion. It's her life. But for the past couple of years, she just stopped doing it. And we were all trying to help her out, like, okay, well, maybe you can do this and maybe you can do that. And just really encouraging her, like, how to get back into this art world. Again, using the yoga practice to calm yourself down, to see the vision and go for it. So we had the class. It was on a Saturday. Within, I think it was like 5 days, she was part of the Lockport Art Gallery, like an art showing, which was just, it was nuts. It was just, so seeing stuff like that is very powerful and very inspirational.
right. No, that's got to feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you take a step back and you were to say, these types of experiences are what tells me I'm doing the right thing. When you feel that, you feel like you're doing the right thing. And are those the experiences that tell you that, or,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
I mean, so sometimes it's good to get that validation to know, yep, I'm on the right track, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's excellent.
Yeah.
So, how do you, and I'm sure you do very well, how do you stay on top of your game? How do you make sure that you're the best of the best in your field?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, really staying very, very organized and staying on top of my schedule every single day, even though running a yoga studio, most of it I do from home, and like every day, like I've got, okay, Monday, this is what I do. And it's all a timed thing. So I make sure I hit that time mark, 10 o'clock, this happens, 11 o'clock, this happens. Doing that, and definitely having an amazing group of teachers that are just so supportive and understanding of everything that I do and appreciative. And just having that great group of friends, especially friends at church, really holding me up, praying for me all the time is just, that's what really has to keep me focused and grounded through this, because it's quite a lot of work.
Right, it is. And so if you were standing across from someone that said, what, I'm thinking about going into business, or I'm thinking about starting my own yoga practice or whatever, what kind of advice, what would you say you'd have to be prepared to experience, and what kind of tools or what kind of attitude should they have going into, that venture?
Well, to be honest, to understand, it's, a lot of people say like, oh, it's the yoga world and it's so relaxing and there's no stress. No, there's a ton of stress.
That's right.
It's extremely stressful.
There's a reason why you need yoga in your life, right?
I know. It's funny because people hear like, if I say I'm stressed out, they're like, well, you're a yoga teacher. I say, yes, but I'm not a superhero. So I'm still a person. I still have feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just because yoga is attached to the word business doesn't mean, you're going to walk in every day. It's going to be a spa-like experience and everything is just going to be handed to you and it's going to be great. No, it's a lot of hard work. And the industry of yoga that I've been in, over a decade, that and fitness are similar. It's a lot more work than you would think than running any other kind of business. You have so many different demographics that you're working with. Yeah, and just it's challenging for you as an individual with your own yoga practice because teachers in general, depending on how many classes they teach, tend to lose their personal practice. Now then, when you become an owner of a yoga studio, you say goodbye to that because it doesn't exist and it takes a long time to really get back into that. So knowing these things before you go in is really helpful, but also before you open a yoga business or a yoga studio, you want to be sure you're working in the industry. I'd say at least 5 years. And when I'm saying working in the industry, not teaching 1 or 2 classes a week, really teaching maybe 10, 15 classes so you can get an idea of how a studio is run because it is so different when you're on the other side of the mat and
right.
Seeing how things go. Plus, that's going to help you when you're doing all the work. Like for me, I didn't go to school for business. I'm a tree-hugging hippie. But, I've got this experience of 12 years, like, okay, this worked and that worked. Plus, I've been, teaching around the country and I've been abroad and worked in wellness resorts. So I've been pulling from all these different experiences to hopefully build up the yoga space, which I'm still learning. We're all learning,
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there's been times that have been tough. Nothing ever goes perfect, right?
No.
What keeps you moving forward?
Well, definitely I would say God, because for this whole yoga space is really Christ-centered. That and the fact that is who led me to open up this space. In my 12 years of teaching, I've never wanted to own a yoga studio. It's always been about, leading like day trips, like paddleboard yoga and hiking and yoga and leading retreats. Like that is always where my vision and goal has been. But God had a different plan. So he said, open the studio. I said, what? I said, no, I'm not doing that. He said, no, yes, you are. So just knowing that that is where he's placed me, and for me, living a Christ-centered life and doing my best to always do according to his plan, not that I'm going to know what it is something that kind of I have to every single day remind myself, surrender to God. This is what it is. And, if this is what he wants, he knows he's got to keep the doors open. I mean, I can't just do it on my own. And that's why I say, like, I rely on my friends at church and all these people praying for me, because that's really, it can't be me that runs the space. It's him. So I can't take all the credit.
Yeah. And it's so much easier that way, isn't it?
Yes. And it's hard because when you get in those stressful moments, if you really got that strong faith, you don't need to worry because he always has a plan. He will always take care of you.
It's just not yours at that point in time, right?
It is, yeah. You just, like I said, it's that daily, constant surrender, giving things over, like that Jeremiah 29:11. It's constant. He's got a plan. He's going to take care of you. Just let him do it.
Yeah, sometimes it is that simple, and trust me, I'm sure you're not the only one that struggles with that.
Yeah.
We go through it ourselves.
Yeah.
But that's awesome that, and I appreciate you sharing your purpose with us, because that's what it's really all about.
Mm-hmm.
Our business is 100% centered around Christ. And awesome. We're in this to help people because that's what we're led to do.
Yeah.
And it's just great. It's just unbelievable how he's bringing people into our lives that that are like that are like us. So it's just really cool. So, wow. So, you got me all worked up now. Wasn't expecting this. So, so I guess it's important to have that purpose, that underlying purpose with your business. I've worked with so many companies, and those that chase money, they're never happy, they never succeed. But the people that have an underlying purpose, and really if it's centered around God, amazing things happen. So, if I were to give any advice to anybody, it would be, dig down deep and find what your real driver is and go for that. The money will come in proportion to what, to the people that you serve.
Yeah.
So, it's so awesome to be in a service business. So I'm sure you have a lot of things that are going on in your company. Is there anything in particular that's going on right now, and can you share that with us?
Anything
coming up? Like, do you have any? You said you had retreats or?
Okay. Yeah, actually, I'm leading a water element yoga retreat in Door County, Wisconsin, which, if you've never been to Door County, Wisconsin, you got to go. It's very interesting. I find a lot of people from the Midwest have not been to Door County yet.
I've never been to Door County, Wisconsin.
It is like a little gem of the Midwest. You don't feel like you're in Wisconsin. You don't feel like you're in the Midwest. It's kind of a step back in time. Everything is mom and pop, from the restaurants to the little stores. And because it is the peninsula of Wisconsin, it's completely surrounded by water. So you've got all these water activities you can do, like kayaking, paddleboarding, all this stuff. It's just incredible. So in June 24th through the 28th, I'll be leading a water element yoga retreat. We'll be staying at a house that outlooks the water. So there's this kind of big deck that we'll be practicing yoga and just looking out to the water. We'll be doing a guided kayak tour of one of the caves out there, which sounds funny that there's a cave out there and there's a shipwreck.
Oh, really?
I know. Like, Door County has all these little gems you just wouldn't expect. The water is crystal clear. It's like you're in the Caribbean. It's nuts. And I know, because I've been there. It's like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm back in Central America.
Wow.
Right? So, yeah, it's just really connecting more with the water element and in nature with, the hiking and the yoga and all that. So really looking forward to that.
And when is that again?
June 24th through the 28th. So it's a Wednesday through Sunday. So it's over 5 days and 4 nights.
Okay, so if people were interested in that, how would they learn more or sign up for it?
Yeah, we actually, I do have brochures at my studio, and I'm more than willing to mail out the brochures, but we also, on our website, www.jaweayoga.com, we have our retreats tab. So it's all there. It's got the pictures, and it has the dates and what's included in the retreat, more information on Door County as well.
Excellent. So, so you're part of the Co-Opvertising network, and as you know, we work together. We try to help our members. We make connections. We give them things to promote for others. If there's anything that the group could do for you, or maybe vice versa, what could it be?
Just definitely, I'd say spreading the word. I think word of mouth is really where it's at, and where I guess my studio has brought people in, is just sharing the word and kind of knowing it. Because I think what happens a lot in small businesses, and especially depending on where they're located, is they're always hidden. It's very hard to find them, and especially if they're not located by big box stores or whatever, like Target or Best Buy, you're not going to know that it's there. And especially for our location, we're downtown Lockport, so some of that can be kind of hidden. And we're by the vegan cafe, and the market, the Naked Sprout Market, has been there for like 3 years, and people are like, oh, I've never known this was here.
Right.
It's been there for 3 years. So yeah, just really kind of getting the word out and just telling people about it and bringing their friends.
Excellent. Okay, well, I appreciate the time and you sharing your story and your passions with us. It's been a great interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so that's about all for now, but I really appreciate you, and we will see your interview online very soon.
Okay, excellent.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.